This is the Leo Climaco Podcast.
Marshal, thank you so much for being here, bro.
Absolutely. You kidding me? It's truly an honor, man. For those of you guys who don't know the background story, I was literally in the gym, and I have been, at the time of shooting this podcast, have been really going through it. And I've spent the last 10 years of my life traveling around, speaking on stages, but specifically training speakers, training entrepreneurs how to get paid to speak, build brands, and build movements. But to say that I've crashed and burned hard over the last year of my life would be a massive understatement. So I just want to say, first off, thank you so incredibly much, because you don't understand what that message has meant to my life. It's been the spark that's rejuvenated something in me that I can tell is about to take off something big. And it's interesting how God works in that way. You know?
It really is.
You're sitting there thinking one thing, and, you know, smoking a joint on your balcony, and I'm sitting here going through it, and I get this message from this random guy, and he's like, "Hey, I want to be on a podcast." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do podcasts all the time." Like, what, you had a Zoom link to book in? You're like, "No, I only do it in person." I'm like, "Oh, if I fly you down and put you up, will you go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, let's do that."
Let's go.
It's interesting. I just hope that the people that are watching this can understand, when you truly get out of your own way and you just kind of surrender to what God wants for you, these things and these opportunities start to show up. And now here I am jamming with you. You got like a real tan, I got a fake tan, but we both look pretty good on here. So I'm excited to be here, man. It's truly an honor.
Thank you so much, man. Bro, you're fucking ripped.
Thanks, man. If
you really are.
If you saw me not that long ago, I was not that ripped at all. But I just turned 40, and in October. And thank you very much. I had to take a look at my life, and what I realized, Leo, is that I was a man that no longer kept promises to himself, and I wasn't very good at keeping promises to other people. And so I just continued to let myself down in so many areas. And I heard a guy one time say, the most common thing in the world is a consistent man without results. And that spoke to me so deeply. And I was like, I've been working out consistently for 13 years, and look at my fat ass. And I just decided, I know now that it was God. I did not have a relationship with God before this. And so if you're listening to this podcast, the way that I'm about to talk, I was not talking like this like 3 months ago. But now I know it was God. But something inside of me told me that I've got to get serious about my daily process, because I recently just had everything in my life taken from me. And what I've realized in my first 40 years is that anything in this world can be taken from you like that. And I had to find something that couldn't. And so I found refuge in becoming the type of man that never misses. And I dialed into this daily process, and I thought, no matter what happens, you could take all of my money, all of my accolades, all of my clients, all of my friends, everything, but this is the one thing that nobody will ever be able to take from me. And it all was taken from me, but that one daily process. And now I've dialed in, and I got somebody that reached out that wants to sign me to a fitness contract for supplements.
That's awesome.
Yesterday. Yeah, and I'm not even a fitness influencer. So, gentlemen, get your butts in shape, man. I'm telling you, it changes the game.
It really does.
Yeah.
Why do you think God has put you on this path?
That's a good question. I've been through a lot. First off, I just want everybody to know, as you listen to this podcast, Marshal Gillen is nobody. Like, I am nobody. My life, to me, is not mine any longer. I have decided to lay down my life to God and Yahweh's will for me. So as I talk, I want to make clear, like, you guys, I'm not boasting about myself in any way, shape, or form. I have gone through what seems like hell in my first 40 years, and I never understood it. I mean, you know, we can go into the dad leaving, and the narcissistic stepfather who was, you know, treating me like crap my whole life, to all the accolades I had in high school, full scholarships, football scholarships, and then everything just in my life by the time I was in my 20s centered around addiction. I just could never, I had this like thing, Leo, where it was like, no matter how much success I have, the people I want to care will never care. And so eventually and again, this is all subconscious, I didn't realize this, but eventually you get to achieving so much that just became like, what the fuck is the point of this? Like, nobody cares anyways. And so instead of trying to get the attention of my dad and my stepfather to love me and appreciate me and say, hey, son, I'm proud of you, I just decided to go the other way. And my identity really became rooted in how much I could drink, how much, you know, cocaine I could do, how many joints I could smoke, and how I could just keep going. And then eventually when I was 23, I just was done. And so I took like 53 half bars of Xannies and a bottle of vodka and an 8-ball of Coke, and I was like, that's it. And it was crazy because as I was slipping away, I'm 23 years old at the time. I'm in San Diego, California, 2,100 miles away from home. And now that I've had an opportunity to be a parent, I can't even imagine what it would be like to get this call. But I called my mom and I told her what I did. And I'm slipping away and she's screaming on the phone, Marshall, wake up, wake up. And that was the last thing I remember. Woke up in La Jolla emergency room out in California shortly after that. God saved me somehow. But it's
Did she call 911?
She did. She called 911 and they like busted in the door. And I woke up immediately. When I woke up in the emergency room, the first thought was initially like, "Oh my God, thank God that didn't work," which was immediately followed by, "Wow, you're even so worthless you can't kill yourself."
Wow.
So one thing I do.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Why'd you call your mom?
She's my best friend. She's the one that she's my rock. She's the one that was always been there for me, no matter what. And I knew that I just wanted to say goodbye to her. I just felt so bad because she. You know, as a young man, when your mom is the one that's there, that's not that I ever took it for granted, but when you're chasing after your dad's love.
I'm really glad you caught that. We're going to go into that later.
Right. Oh, whoa.
You know what?
Tell me about it.
Grab it. Let's do it right now. Grab it. It was God
100%. He's like, dude,
shaking it.
100%.
Yeah. So this is here for a reason.
Okay.
You are the third person holding it.
Ooh.
Okay? So in Avengers Age of Ultron, when Captain America almost grabs Thor's hammer, and then in Endgame, when he actually grabs it, and Thor goes, I knew it, because Captain America is worthy.
That's crazy.
He's worthy.
Wow.
And he's valuable. I think God just shook that right now to show you your worthiness, your
wild,
value.
Bro, that's a sign for sure.
Yes.
That's very, very cool.
Speak about that for a second. Speak about value and worthiness and how you found yours.
Yeah. Well, I just want to finish the loop that we're in.
Yes.
Because it is important.
100%.
Because if there's a man out there or a woman that's struggling, I want you guys to understand this. When I pulled the trigger to take my life, I had immediate regret. And so if anybody is struggling, like I've traveled the world speaking about attempted suicide, that's what my speaking career has been built on. And I just want somebody to know, like, that moment that I wanted to die, when I did it, I realized it wasn't that I wanted to die, I just didn't want to live my life anymore. And so the transformation is big because what happened is when I woke up, I realized, oh my God, thank God that didn't work out.
Did you feel reborn?
I did not. I felt more unworthy than ever before. And so I didn't want to die anymore, but I actually got this terrible tattoo back then. It says, live fast, die fun. Because I was like, I just want to die. And so I lived my life in a way that was going to make that happen.
Reckless.
100%. Fast forward a few years later, and this is where the transformation comes in. I had a very best friend of mine, Dustin, and long story short, long story longer, he was struggling, and he called me. He was calling me at the end of 2013, asking me for help. He's living in Omaha, Nebraska, with his family and stuff. And I just didn't know how to help him anymore, man. I was like, I couldn't help myself, you know? And finally, in January of 2014, he gives me a call, and I ignored it. And I listened to the voicemail, and it was him saying, hey, he was crying. He's like, yo, bro, I need to talk to you and get a chance. Call me back. All right, late. And I was like, okay, I'll call him tomorrow. Then I was like, oh, I'll call him next week. And then next week turned into a month. I got a call from his sister at 4:30 in the morning. And she said, Dustin took his life.
Oh, my God.
And so in that moment... I'm
so sorry.
Yeah, well, you know, now so the transformation that you're asking for, and when did I realize that? I didn't have any kind of relationship with God or anything like that at all. But something inside of me told me that I had to tell that story. And so I set out on this mission with Dustin and I over the last decade of our life now to make sure that I can bring awareness to that story and understand that people... I've made a tagline, your mess is your message. I didn't make it. I got it from Tony Robbins years ago, but I've built my entire life around your mess is your message. And so people see me online, whether it's talking about, you know, marijuana addiction or narcissism or whatever the thing is I'm talking about these days. I've always I don't know why God made me this way, but he's always just made me be the guy that's willing to go first. And so when I train my speakers, or really anybody, I tell them, like, everybody in the world is struggling with something.
Yeah.
And most of us are looking around like all scared, like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, just be the motherfucker that stands up and goes first. Just, hey, I'm Marshall and this is what's up. And so
Were you always like this? No.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I started a program that's still there today, I found out, called Blind, Building Lasting Impressions That Never Die. It was an anti-bullying program. And so we actually had our first retreat when I was a junior in high school, and kids from all over the state came, and we were doing this exercise, and it was like, step over the line if you've ever, and so it was all this stuff. Step over the line if you've done this and that. But finally, one of the teachers was like, step over the line if you struggle with drinking, which I was already struggling with drinking. And you can admit that when you're 16 or 17, like, you're gonna get in trouble.
Right.
But I stepped over the line, and that was the first time that God showed me, like, this is the dude you are. So to answer the question that you asked me, why does God put me through this? I didn't know until literally just like 4 months ago that it always had to be this way. It always had to be this way because God wired me in a way to go first. And for whatever reason, he made me this little tiny, compact, fun-sized dude that can talk real good and is energized, and it's magnetized people to me. And it's allowed me now over time, which is, we can talk about later, why I had to get completely sober. But now it's aligned me with who I am and this ability to go out and share these messages. At the time of talking to us right now, I just started posting about a new content about 73 days ago. And on the way over here, I was looking, we're at like 128 million views in the last 73 days.
That's incredible.
You
are reaching so many people.
Dude, it's crazy. It's like, who the fuck am I?
Right.
Like, why am I? Why?
Because you're worthy, bro.
Well, I appreciate that. And, but that's what I'm realizing. And so now that I look back, I'm like, oh, this is why you put me through all this crap, because you've been preparing me for what you prepared for me. And now here we are. I'm getting opportunities like this to come to South Florida, jetting around, drinking coconut water, hanging out badass out with these cool people, and having God talk to me through these amazing crops.
Bro, that was so crazy.
What are we talking about, man?
Crazy, bro.